a crazy last two nights as the Phillies did not clinch the NL East last night, a 6-3 loss to the New York Mets. It was really a close game up until that seventh inning. Orion Kirkering comes in, gives up the 3 runs. Brendan Nimmo hits the single, and then Francisco Alvarez the double. And the Mets never looked back from there. They took the 6-2 lead. Phillies did get a run in, or I'm sorry, the 5-2 lead. Phillies did get a run in the top of the eighth. Mets struck right back in the bottom of the inning and never really looked back. Phillies offense wasn't all that good. They had 4 guys with hits, only 3 that started. And 2 of those were their only runs of the night prior to that eighth inning. And it was a Castellanos and a Schwarber home run. So the offense, not a great night for them. And the bullpen wasn't really that good, but nonetheless, also big Philadelphia news. Eagles finally won a game. I'll talk about that in a little bit because instead of the not just Philly moments of the night for the second half, be recapping the games that have already happened and that are currently happening right now. Some monster games. Especially there's 2 specific guys on the Eagles we will be talking about tonight. But as Adam says, we got to clinch tonight. It would be so nice to win the division in New York. The biggest rival of the team, arguably, I would say it's the Mets. I wouldn't say it's the Braves, even though they have had better games in recent years. But I do think that winning it in New York would just feel so much better. I mean, of course, winning it in Philly tomorrow, too, would be pretty awesome. But, as long as you get it done, that is all that matters. I don't care when it is. I would like it to be tonight because then the next 2 series you can kind of not rest a lot of guys, but you don't feel inclined like you have to play anybody. And plus, with Austin Hayes and Spencer Turnbull potentially coming back soon, that gives them more time to play. They both made rehab starts this weekend in AAA. Austin Hayes was 2 for 9 with 2 singles. He DH'd the first game, was in left field for that second game. Spencer Turnbull pitched today, 2 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, did give up a home run. So his first actual game in months. They said Austin Hayes likely to be activated for the Cubs series. Still not confirmed. Could be the Washington series, but nonetheless, seems like Austin Hayes will be back sometime this week. And Spencer Turnbull is going to have live batting practice in Clearwater on Thursday. Don't know if he's going to be back because the Phillies after this have 2 more series. You have the Cubs, and then they have the Nationals. The Thursday Phillies have off. So I would assume if maybe things go well at that bullpen session and everything seems fine, maybe he gets in for the National Series, especially if Zach Wheeler is scheduled for his next start during that time. There's really no reason to keep him in long at all if he even has to pitch that game. You could bring in Turnbull, kind of get him warmed up because he hasn't pitched in a while. So interesting news coming there. Yes, the Cowgirls. They're getting blown out right now by the Ravens. It's looking great. We'll get into that a little bit. I just had to. I always love throwing shade at the Cowgirls. Gotta say the Cowgirls. I'm wearing the Eagles jersey. I always say I keep it professional on here, and I do. But in the Eagles jersey on Sunday, on a day where the Eagles won and the Cowboys are going to lose, I can say Cowgirls. I get the pass today. But nonetheless, Zach Wheeler, 16-6, a 2.56 ERA, been phenomenal this year. Outside of that horrible game against the Yankees, he's had a pretty much lights out second half, and he'd probably be neck and neck with Chris Sale right now, or at least make it a lot closer than it actually is. But Chris Sale has been outstanding. I really can't describe the words. Was Boston's ace for years, barely pitched, and when he did pitch, he did not look good. And then, of course, gets traded to the Braves, and he's going to win the National League Cy Young, probably unanimously, although Wheeler's the only other person that's going to get first place votes over Sale. So if it's not unanimous, those votes are going to Zach Wheeler. Going up against Tyler McGill, 4-5, a 4.08 ERA. And you may be thinking, oh, it's Tyler McGill. He's not that good. I'll get into why. You should not overlook him for this game. Phillies having their righty versus righty lineup, as I like to call it, because if I say righty lineup, it means it's all righties, but I just don't like that. I like the versus righty lineup better. Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Bohm, Castellanos, Stott, Real Muto, Marsh, and then Rojas is in center field. It seems like they're starting to play him over Cal Stevenson a lot more. I'm a big fan of that. Love Cal Stevenson, but Johan Rojas is, I think, should be the starting center fielder. He's batting 242. He has elite defense in center field. Great 9-hole hitter. So I really like that. And then for the Mets, Mark Vientos, who's been batting second for them forever, or third, is now batting seventh in the lineup. And I kind of see why. He was 0 for 5 last night with 5 strikeouts. So moving him down in the lineup a little bit. So they're trying to see if that helps him out a little bit. And then, again, no Francisco Lindor. No timetable still on his return that I know of. Should be back for the playoffs, but I don't want to assume anything. And then JD Martinez getting the night off tonight as well. Keys to the game. You got to have a better bullpen. Because last night, obviously the Phillies offense wasn't that great, but their pitching was keeping them in it. You look at the stats. The bullpen really did not do well at all. 4s all around. 4 innings, 4 hits, 4 runs, 4 strikeouts. I mean, I know most of that was Orion Kerkering giving up the 3 runs in the, what was it, the 5th inning, 6th inning, 7th inning? I think it was the 7th inning. But regardless, it doesn't matter now. You need to have a better bullpen game tonight. I would assume Hoffman and Strahm are going to be in, and most likely Estevez, as we haven't seen a ton of him during this series. And then don't underestimate Tyler McGill, because in the past, I mean, he still does really well against the Phillies. He's got like a career sub-3 ERA against the Phillies. But his previous 4 starts for the Mets have been very good. 2-0, a 1.69 ERA, 22 strikeouts in those 4 games. I mean, he has gone up against 3 of the bottom teams in the league: the Nationals, the White Sox, the Blue Jays, and he went up against the Red Sox. That was his worst game. He gave up 3 runs, but in 4 innings. So this isn't a guy that's not going to go a ton of innings probably, but his last 2 games, 12 total innings. He went 6 in both of those games. Only gave up 1 hit and then 2 hits. And he hasn't given up any runs since that Boston game. Walking about 1 to 2 guys a game. So Phillies, they need to not underestimate him, but they need to also finally play like, I don't know, like he's an elite pitcher. You should treat every pitcher like an elite pitcher. Don't undermine anyone, because if you undermine someone and they come out, throw a gas and striking all you out, then what's the point? I don't. So just make sure you're not underestimating this guy, because look at his stats in the past 4 starts, because it's not the same Tyler McGill. Sure, somebody in your career may be known for not being the greatest pitcher, but baseball is all about who's hot at the right time. And right now, Tyler McGill has been very hot for the Mets. And the last one, I've been saying this in every game against the Mets. It's all about the clutch moments. Most of these games are close, minus the Friday game that was 12-2. Most of the games against the Mets have been close. So it's really up to the clutch moments. You look at yesterday's game. The Mets had 2 different clutch moments in the same inning, and that won them the game. Buddy Kennedy, the clutch hit in the 9th inning on last Sunday against the Mets, that ended up helping the Phillies win the game. So with these Mets, you just have to come up in those clutch moments. So again, better bullpen. Don't underestimate Tyler McGill and the clutch moments. But now, we didn't do a post-game show last night, so let's see what we cooked up yesterday and hit, and what we got cooking for tonight. We got breaking news here. The White Sox have tied the record for most losses in a single season. They are their 120th loss. Unbelievable. So with 6 games to go, the White Sox need to lose one of those to break the record for the most losses in a single season, which is unbelievable. They were up 2-1 on the Padres. The Padres came back and scored 3 runs in the 8th inning. goodness. They've been outscored 214 to 105 in the seventh and eighth innings. The worst team of all time. I've been ranting on them so much since I've started doing these, but it's just unbelievable in 2024 that you are breaking the record for the most losses in a single season. Just unbelievable. 3 years ago, this team was one of the best in the American League and had one of the brightest futures. And 3 years later, they just broke the record, or they tied the record for now, but they're most likely going to break it. The record for the most losses in a single season. They are far worse than Oakland. Oakland is not awful. They're not even the last place team in their division. That's the Angels. I mean, the A's are 67 and 88. Ownership, A's are worse, I would say, just because of that whole stadium debacle. I'll talk about. Actually, no, we're not going to be talking about the A's for the rest of the show. So allegedly, the ownership in the MLB for the final game in the Coliseum, they're telling A's players and managers just leave. Don't talk to any fans after the game. Just go back to the clubhouse. Don't do anything. Just get out of there, which is absurd. You are taking this team out of that city. I don't care what their attendance is. That team has been there for years. They have been there forever. And this is the last Oakland team, really. They lost the Warriors. They lost the Raiders. They're going to lose the A's. That's like all they have now. And now they're getting rid of them because they have the Sharp. They're San Jose. They're not Oakland. So they have no other professional teams. And you're taking that away. And you're not even going to let the fans get to interact with any of the players or the coaches. I know the athletics coach, Mark Kotze, said he was going to make a little speech after thanking the fans for everything, but he can't do that now because the league and ownership is telling them to just get out of there. So unbelievable by the Athletics. It's the final game. I know the Coliseum's not really that good of a stadium anymore, but still, it will be remembered. And he had a baseball stadium and a football stadium. When are you ever going to see that again? Probably never. You had the Vet, that's no longer there, and the Oakland Coliseum, which is, I don't know if they're going to tear it down or if they're going to keep it, but nonetheless, if it still is there, the A's aren't going to be there. They're going to be in Sacramento next year in a minor league ballpark. And when, I don't know if it was the GM or the owner, talked about the move going there, he said, "Oh yeah, I can't wait to see Aaron Judge hit a home run here." You're talking about people on other teams hitting home runs in your park. You're not talking about your own guys. Oh, I can't wait to see Brent Rooker hit a home run. Probably because he wants to trade him in the offseason for dirt cheap prospects that are never going to do anything in the majors, just like they did with Matt Olson, just like they did with Sean Murphy and every other person that was somewhat good on the Athletics. So shame on the owners of the Athletics. Shame on the White Sox. 14. I don't believe that was 14. There's no way. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, but it's not in 2024. I don't care how bad of a team you are. You're still going to get a couple thousand. If the Phillies could have a couple thousand people, I mean, what, they had 19,000 when they were losing 100 games. So there's no way that I would see an attendance under 5,000 that wasn't in Oakland. But getting to the triple play, got a little off topic there. But last night we went 2 for 3. Sean Manaea finished with 6 strikeouts. Johan Rojas did not get a hit, but Castellanos did get an RBI. So 2 for 3, a good night last night. And we're going to have an even better night tonight because we got Zach Wheeler over 6.5 strikeouts at -160. It's prime time. It's a chance to clinch the National League East. I think he's going to come out and he's going to get the Mets swinging on a lot of pitches. And I do think they are not going to be connecting on a lot of these. So 6.5, easy money. Mark Vientos to get 1+ hit at -120. We talked earlier about how he went 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts yesterday. But they move him down to the 7th hole. It just makes sense for him to get a hit. And that's just baseball, really. And then JT Realmuto to get 2+ total bases at +170 against Tyler McGill. He's 4 for 12. He has a homer, 3 RBIs. Best hitter on the Phillies against McGill. He's also seen him the most. So regardless of how good or bad of a game Tyler McGill has, I do think JT is going to get at least 1 hit. I think it'll be a double, or if he'll get 2 singles. I do like the 2+ total bases at +170. But you look at McGill, he doesn't really give up home runs. The last time he gave one up was July 27th. and it was 3 home runs against the Braves. But hasn't really pitched a ton since then, but nonetheless, he hasn't been giving up home runs. So not a fan of uh, one singular home run bet because Zach Wheeler doesn't give up a ton of home runs, at least recently as well. So did two people on the Phillies and the Mets. It's Trey Turner or Pete Alonso to get a home run at plus 310. So you bet that. You only need one to get one, and then the bet hits. So a little bit of worse odds than if you were just to pick one of them, but it's a game. I don't think there's going to be any home runs. But if it does, I definitely think it's going to be one of these two people. So again, Zach Wheeler over 6.5 strikeouts at minus 160. Mark Vientos to get 1+ hit at minus 120. And then JT Realmuto, the best catcher in baseball, to get 2+ total bases at plus 170, with the bonus bet being Trey Turner or Pete Alonso to get a home run at plus 310. Again, go to Win Daily. Use that promo code HEAT. You get the scratch and save. Could get 12 months for the price of 6. You never know. It's like a scratch off ticket. So make sure you are doing that. Now, before we get into football, got to track the National League Playoff Series. The Cubs officially eliminated from playoff contention. So that final wild card spot is either going to be the Braves or the Mets. Even the Diamondbacks, they fall out of it, but I don't think they will because they had a good series against the Brewers. But the Los Angeles Dodgers still tied with the Phillies. They were losing to the Rockies last time I checked. They lost last night as well. Losing, I have to update that. That's the same as it was. Oh, it's 5-4 Rockies, bottom of the 8th. So as of right now, Phillies are still tied with the Dodgers. But, Dodgers have the Padres after this. It's going to be a tough series because Padres are vying for that first place spot. I mean, they're 2.5 games out of first place. And if the Dodgers lose here, they're only 2 games out. So the Padres sweep the Dodgers, they would be in control of the National League West, and the Dodgers would be a wild card team. That would be insane. But nonetheless, Dodgers are in a close game with the Rockies. We'll be monitoring that because this one's going to be a little longer because I'm going to be talking about the NFL as well. So we'll be monitoring that as we go along. The Brewers, they finally beat the Diamondbacks. They're still 4 games back from the number 1 seed. They won today 10-9. They had 3 errors and they still somehow ended up winning. They lost last night. So they lose 3 of 4 to the Diamondbacks. But, I mean, at least you get one. I mean, it's not really that harmful to the Brewers. They've pretty much locked up. I wouldn't say locked up, but they've pretty much secured that number 3 seed. I've been screaming it for a while. The Brewers just scream 3 seed. They already won their division. They have really nothing to worry about. They've made the playoffs. They got a 45-33 record at home. So they do a little bit the same home or road. It doesn't really matter. So if they don't get the bye, it's not the worst thing. It's not like the Phillies where they're incredible at home and on the road. So Brewers getting it done against the Diamondbacks today. We were talking about the Padres, had that comeback win on the Chicago White Sox, breaking or tying the record for the most losses in a single season. They are currently, I think it's 2.5 now that the Diamondbacks lost today. Yes, it is 2. Actually, no, it's 3 games. Oh, yes, because they both won. So let's change that to 3 games. So the Padres 3 games up on the first wild card spot. And as of right now, 2.5 out of that first place in the National League West. So you trade Juan Soto in the offseason and you're still September 22nd competing with the Dodgers for a first place spot. It's pretty outstanding season from the Padres. Mentioned the Diamondbacks. Currently, I think it's a half of a game now. Only a half of a game. So if the Mets win, they will be tied for that second wild card spot. So big game for the Mets. Diamondbacks are going to be definitely tuning in. And the Braves, they were playing the Miami Marlins. Did they win? They did win today, 5-4. And big win going into that series against the Mets. They're only a game and a half out from that final wild card spot. So if Mets win, they go into a 3-game series up 2 games. If they lose tonight, Braves go in down 1 game. So I cannot wait for this series. Don't know who the pitchers are supposed to be. Chris Sale has to be out there for the Braves. I don't care what you I don't care what the rotation looks like. You have to have Chris Sale out there. Schwellenbach and Sale, and then Thursday an ESPN Plus game. That's ridiculous. Nobody pays for ESPN Plus. Same thing with the UFC. ESPN Plus is a joke. It is not that good. But NFL Week 3 happening right now, and you mentioned it earlier. The Birds. How did they win? They won because of three reasons. The defense. How? I still am baffled they won this game. I went into this thinking Sirianni's going to do something and they're going to lose the game because of it. And they left 6 points on the board. They did. They went for it on fourth down when they could have kicked easy field goals, and they lost 6 points. That almost cost them the game. And then Jake Elliott, he's like, yeah, let's send Jake Elliott for a 60-yard field goal. We haven't let him kick anything all day. So, yeah, let's make his first kick of the day a 60-yard field goal. And he completely missed. But these two guys, Saquon and Dallas Goedert. Saquon Barkley, why did not 17 carries? How does he only have 17 carries? He was unbelievable today. And they get pass happy. That's what Nick Sirianni does. And it sucks. He just gets pass happy. It's like me playing Madden. Like he's, running the ball, that does win it, but it's more fun if you pass it. 38 times with Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts did not look all that good today. He had that interception in the end zone, but there's apparently some miscommunication with Devontae Smith. And he had that fumble too. I think he got hit in the leg and just dropped it. So, okay game, I would say, from Jalen Hurts. Terrible game from Nick Sirianni. That Dallas Goedert play, that 70-yard catch, that saved him from getting fired because I don't know. If they had lost this game, you're 2 straight losses where you should have won going into Tampa Bay. And they just lost to the Broncos today, which we'll get into. But that play saved the game for the Eagles. The Saints, 3 of their defenders running into each other. But Saquon, run the ball with him. Did you not see the Savannah Bananas mascot last night? Wrote the sign that said "Run it with Saquon." If the mascot of the Savannah Bananas is telling you to run it with Saquon, just like the rest of the world, don't throw it 3 times as much as you run it with Saquon Barkley. But nonetheless, win is a win. Eagles 2-1 on the year, leading the NL East right now because the Cowboys are going to lose. Spoiler alert. Happy about that. But elsewhere, Bo Nix gets his first career win. 263 total yards. Did not have a passing touchdown, but he did have a rushing touchdown. That team just looked pretty good today. They dominated the Buccaneers. They held the Buccaneers to 7 points. A team that went on the road to Detroit last week and beat the Lions. They went into Tampa, beat them, scored 14 points in the first quarter. Did a good job on Baker Mayfield. Only held him to 163 yards. Picked him off. I think they sacked him a few times. Twice, I believe. Oh, more than twice. Oh, my goodness. 7 sacks. Oh, man. I forgot Alex Singleton's been their linebacker there in Denver for a couple years now, ever since leaving the Eagles. But good win today from the Broncos. They get their first win. It's Sean Payton's first win with the Broncos in September. So they now move 2-1-2. And then we move to Minnesota, where the Vikings are 3-0. On the backs of Sam Darnold and Aaron Jones. The Green Bay Packers pretty much gave up on Aaron Jones. They picked Josh Jacobs over him, which honestly, who wouldn't have done that? But Jones today, 102 rushing yards, 46 receiving yards, and he had a receiving touchdown as well. Sam Darnold had, 3 touchdown passes today? An unbelievable start to the season for Sam Darnold. You'd have to think, as of right now, he is probably the MVP favorite. 4 touchdowns from Darnold today. Justin Jefferson, how did he fall to me at 7? I'm getting blown out in my one fantasy league because I played against Malik Neighbors, Aaron Jones, not Devin Singletary, Garrett Wilson. I played against someone else really good in that league too. Brandon Aubrey, who has like a 64-yard field goal attempt today. Aaron Jones, Malik Neighbors, Seattle's got 17, so I'm getting blown out. I'm not even having a bad week. Shula Hubbard, 25 points. We'll get to him in a little bit. But the Vikings, phenomenal start to the season for them. I mean, they have their whole positions figured out now that they actually have a quarterback. That defense, you hold this Texans offense with C.J. Stroud, with Stephon Diggs. I know Joe Mixon wasn't playing. Cam Akers did nothing on the ground, 2.3 yards per carry. Picked off C.J. Stroud twice. Ended up having to pull him because it was such a blowout. So Brian Flores probably going to get some head coach consideration, even after those reports of him being very critical of Tua, allegedly, according to Tua, telling him that he wasn't good enough to play in the league. But nonetheless, he will get looks at a head coaching job this offseason, especially if the Vikings defense continues to be as good as it has been. Elsewhere, a little bit of an upset for me. The Steelers are 3-0 too, with Justin Fields. Traded a conditional 6th-round pick for him. And this is who I wanted the Eagles to get as the backup over Kenny Pickett. I wanted Justin Fields. Nonetheless, he's been balling out for the Steelers. It's not like any eye-popping numbers, but he's doing his job. And that's the Pittsburgh Steelers game. They will not drop 100 points on you. It's going to be a close game. They're not going to score a ton of points. That defense is phenomenal. They're just going to do their thing. The numbers aren't going to look pretty, but they just get the job done. And ultimately, that is all that matters. Steelers always just find a way to win, and they beat the Chargers today. Jim Harbaugh's first loss as the Chargers head coach. Had a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. Did have that interception, but nonetheless, they still got the job done, and that's all that matters. I always say, I don't care how you win, but it's just winning. I'm all about winning. That's the most important thing in football, is to win, and the Steelers did that. Packers did it too. I don't get how they were the underdogs. With how Malik Willis played last week and how the Titans have been playing, especially Will Levis. Will Levis is not good at all as an NFL quarterback. There's been so many meme pictures of him just throwing his hands up, but he did not have a good game. It's another 2 interceptions. I get 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's the eye test. Will Levis did not look that good. He has flashes. He reminds me of Carson Wentz before his breakout year. He has flashes, but he's just a terrible decision maker and he makes those stupid plays that can cost you the game. But Malik Willis played phenomenal today for the Packers. I mean, threw it under 20 times, but he did his job, and he was the leading rusher over Josh Jacobs. Jacobs did not have a good game, 3 yards a carry. Willis was their leading rusher, had a rushing and a passing touchdown. 2-0 since Jordan Love went down. So is Malik Willis the Packers franchise quarterback? No, absolutely not. Jordan Love, when he comes back, will be the guy. But Malik Willis has been balling out as the backup quarterback for the Packers so far. And an upset. The Giants beat the Browns. What is up with the Browns this year? Deshaun Watson is just not good anymore. And if those allegations are true, then good. I hope he's the worst quarterback in the league. But Daniel Jones, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devin Singletary, 4 yards a carry, a touchdown. Malik Neighbors, though, was the story of this game. Unbelievable catches, 2 for a touchdown, 8 catches, 78 yards, and those 2 touchdown grabs, which were just unbelievable. Browns defense really did nothing. They got 2 sacks, 4 tackles for losses. But, I mean, you let this offense, I mean, they only scored 21 points, but this Browns offense is not that good. Deshaun Watson, I mean, this is the whole thing. You can look at the stats and you can watch the game, and they're 2 completely different things. Like, from this, you're like, oh, he had a decent game, 21-37, 196 yards, 2 touchdowns. Awful. Deshaun Watson was awful. His QB rating was 27.2. So Deshaun Watson is just not a good quarterback at this point. Some more allegations came out against him, and it was revealed via a report. I don't know if it was Adam Schefter or not, but it was reported that there's a contract clause in Watson's contract that the Browns could take back that guaranteed money if Watson was convicted on any of these allegations. So Cleveland may be looking to get rid of Deshaun Watson this offseason. I mean, I would do it because he was awful last year. He was awful the year before when he came back, and he's been awful this year. Deshaun Watson, man, that trade set them back years. Amari Cooper was their only bright spot, and he got hurt at the end of the game. No update on him. That they said they'll come out with that in the coming days, but nonetheless, Giants get their first win of the year, And then the Colts beating the Bears, getting their first win of the year. Anthony Richardson has not looked good in these past 2 weeks. Looked really good week 1, but these last 2 weeks, he has looked like a bust. I won't call him bust. He's still pretty good. He's got plenty of time, but 167 yards, 50% completion percentage, 2 picks, and he only averaged 3 yards per carry. So did not do it well on the ground or in the air, but Jonathan Taylor got it done. 23 carries, 110 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Did add on a 25-yard catch with that, but the Colts get their first win of the year. Bears, their offense, I don't know. Caleb Williams looks good. I don't care what you say. Caleb Williams looks good. I just don't think the play calling has been good. He has no running game. DeAndre Swift carried the ball 13 times, and his average per carry was 1.5. Was not a fan of that signing for the Bears. Not a big DeAndre Swift guy. Same thing with Miles Sanders. He was in a great situation in Philly, and then they go elsewhere, and they just don't really do much. But Rome Odunze had a breakout game, 6 catches, 112 yards and a touchdown. And then Cole Kmet and DJ Moore had Cole Kmet had double-digit catches, but DJ Moore had 8 for 78, and Cole Kmet was 3 yards shy of 100 yards. So, I mean, you have all that. It's just a rush attack. You need a better game. I just don't like the Bears' offensive line all that much, and that's what I think they need to invest in. But looking at the rest of the games that are going on right now, Panthers going to pull off the upset. Now, I put money on the Panthers, and they were almost my survivor pool team. I did make it the Lions, which is looking good as well. But I was thinking about picking the Panthers because I'm like, I'm not going to pick them for the rest of the year. I'm not high on the Raiders. And there's always that game. Whenever they bench a quarterback, a team benches someone, and then this new guy comes in, they ball out the first game or two. And I was like, oh, I think the Panthers are going to win. And Andy Dalton has been unbelievable this game. 319 yards, 3 touchdown passes. Chuba Hubbard's been awesome too. 21 carries, 114 yards, 5 catches, 55 yards, a touchdown. And then Deontay Johnson, his best game as a Panther, 8 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown. And their defense holding that Raiders team who beat the Ravens last week to just 15 points so far, under 5 minutes to go in that game. So great win for the Panthers. Dave Canales gets his first win as the Panthers head coach. Looking like the benching Bryce Young was the right move so far. Apparently, lots of teams have been trying to trade for Bryce Young, but they've all been rejected. I think it was Jake Glazer that reported that the Panthers still view Bryce Young as their guy. They're just letting him ride the bench right now, let him learn a little bit more, kind of develop under Andy Dalton. Moving on, Seahawks blowing out the Dolphins. Skylar Thompson did not do much. I know he got hurt, and then Tim Boyle came in, so I don't know if Thompson is still out. But this Seahawks defense, I said it in the beginning, I think they're going to have a top 5 defense in the league this year. Bringing over Mike McDonald from Baltimore to be your head coach, and they have pieces on that D-line. They have the rookie. Where is he? Oh, my goodness. What's his Texas guy? Oh, my gosh. Byron Jones. Yes, Byron Jones. I was like, how did I forget this? I just had his name in my head ready to go once I started talking about them. But Byron Jones, Leonard Williams, and you got Devon Witherspoon. You got Reek Woolen in the secondary. So remember they traded for Jamal Adams, and he did absolutely nothing. Of course, Ohtani just tied the game up in the bottom of the ninth. Oh, God. So Dodgers tying the game up in the bottom of the ninth, or top of the ninth. Bottom, yeah. Dang. So Mookie Betts could potentially end the game for the Dodgers. That is unfortunate. Who's pitching for the Rockies? I need to scold them. Halverson, is that who gave up the home run? Yeah. S. Halverson, shame on you. Why would you give up a home run to Ohtani? It's not like this guy hits home runs or something. He hits a lot of home runs. But going back to the NFL, Dolphins don't look good without Tua. It's looking brutal for them. Ravens blowing out the Cowboys, 28-12. Derrick Henry has 143 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And Derrick Henry said he reached out to the Cowboys, but they never reached back out to him in the offseason. I thought that's where he was going to go. I was like, I think he's going to Ravens, but if it's not the Ravens, 100% the Cowboys, because he feels like a Cowboys player. They needed a running back, but you know what? Let's bring back Zeke. And Zeke has 3 carries for 6 yards. Not a good game for the Cowboys. Ravens running all over them. They're going to pick up their first win of the year. They're not an 0-2 team. They just had a rough schedule. But I mean, I'm not a big John Harbaugh guy. I'm not huge on him. I think he's the reason they haven't been too successful in the playoffs in recent years. But nonetheless, Ravens pick up their first win of the year. Niners up by 7 with under 5 to go on the Rams. Purdy has 3 touchdowns, all to Juwan Jennings, who has 9 catches, 163 yards in those 3 tutties. And I don't even know how the Rams are doing this good. I mean, you look at the numbers, they're okay. Kyron Williams, 78 rushing yards, a touchdown, but he's only averaging 3.7 yards per carry. I guess it's their defense just keeping him in it. But Juwan Jennings running all over that team, coming through, having a big breakout game. I have him and Ayuk on one of my teams. Ayuk has not been that good this year so far for the Niners. Everybody was expecting him to take the step up with Deebo Samuel going out, with Christian McCaffrey out, and George Kittle out today. Niners still winning by 7. Then the other, I say the 3-headed beast in the NFC, Eagles, Niners, and the Lions. Lions up 10 on the Cardinals right now. Jared Goff, 2 touchdowns and a pick. David Montgomery is a yard shy of 100. Laporta was carted to the locker room, so hopefully everything is okay with him. He's one of the best tight ends in the league. It's fun to watch him play. And man, yeah, Kyler Murray not having a great game. This was another team I was high on this week, was the Detroit Lions. I'd said that I lost my train of thought. Kyler Murray, the Lions coming off of losses with Dan Campbell, they are 8-0. And I was like, this is a game I can tell that the Lions were going to win. It's very rare to see them with Dan Campbell losing back-to-back games, especially against the Cardinals. Cardinals have looked very good this year, but I mean, they're not really all that. And I think the Lions are all that. So I was high on them this week, and they are winning by 10 with about 6.5 minutes to go. And then Sunday Night Football tonight is Chiefs-Falcons. We'll see what that Chiefs running back room looks like with Carson Steele, with Samaje Perine, which one of them is going to take off, and how the Falcons are going to come out after that miracle win last week. And then doubleheader on Monday Night Football tomorrow. Jags, Bills, Commanders, Bengals. So 2 pretty good games coming up for the next 2 days, Primetime. But that's going to do it. Post-game, I will be live tonight. Don't know what time, probably after the Phillies game, because I don't think it's going to get done by halftime of Chiefs-Falcons. But if it is, I would love to be on here for that. So make sure you're pressing that notification bell. You get notified as soon as we go live. So again, I will be live, maybe halftime, but we shall see. But have a good night, everyone. Hope you enjoyed your NFL Sunday. Let's go see the Phillies clinch this National League East title. They are playing on ESPN tonight. So have a good night, everyone. Stay safe. And as always, stay fresh, my friends. Oh, wait. I didn't even get this loaded up. I don't know what I was doing. So yeah, let's try this again. Have a good night, everyone. Stay safe. And as always, stay fresh, my friends.